Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to another episode of the Buckeye Roast. It's your boy Ron James here with my guy QP Ski.
I'm alive and well, somewhat. Good to be back.
Glad to have you back. We are talking linebacker interviews today. Before we get started, though, a shout out to our guy Craig, first one in the chat. A little bit of a late start today, but appreciate you guys hanging in there with us. Q, you did a lot of the writing for this show, so lead us off.
All right, I did. Appreciate you and Pat holding it down. I was out with a bit of food poisoning, but I'm back alive, so good to be back around the morning. Yeah, so first of all, house cleaning. Don't forget podcasts, Spotify. Make sure you check us out there. Definitely leave a 5-star review, ask some questions. We'll pick up some tomorrow and go from there. We're starting to get some reviews, so it's getting underway, so we'll appreciate that. But yeah, make sure you do that. Any other house cleaning you got, Ron? I can jump into it.
Nothing here.
Okay, so I pulled this. I'll start with this. Ohio State is favorites to make the college football playoff. Got that poll up for you. They're at minus 650, followed by Georgia, Oregon, and Texas. Ron, if you were picking favorites to start the season to make college football, would you have those four or would you have a different four? So I got Ohio State at 1, Georgia 2, Oregon 3, and Texas 4.
No, I mean, I feel like that's a solid order, and I think the order that it's in is the correct order. Texas at 265, I think, with Quinn Ewers being likely the best returning quarterback in college football. I guess you can make an argument for Carson Beck, but I think honestly, now that you take a look at the injury that they just had to CJ Baxter yesterday, I didn't even think about that. I would drop Texas down a little bit more, but pre CJ Baxter injury, I think Texas was the favorite, especially with the quarterback play that they have there. The wide receiver room is loaded. They had a solid running back. I mean, the defense probably not as good against the run, but it's proved against the pass. So, I mean, I think Texas is pre-injury was the favorite coming in. I don't like Oregon above Ohio State, but those four definitely are the top four that I would have in those rankings.
Yeah, well, Oregon's third. They're behind Georgia and Ohio State. I may flip Georgia. Maybe I think I'm Ohio State. Maybe with a little bit of tougher. But I don't know what to expect from Alabama just yet. I know they have Texas, but like you said, they lost C.J. Baxter. So I might flip there, but I like where it is at 4. So I probably keep it in that order. But yeah, I didn't even think about C.J. Baxter going out yesterday with that news coming in. So definitely it might drop a couple points there. So next up, I know yesterday you talked about the freaks list. So Ron made me keep it short because he ran a little bit. So I just had some quick notes on that. So one thing that jumped out to me was the Big Ten with actually 24 players, so almost a quarter of the list that stood out there. Kenneth Grant at 3, or Kenneth Grant at 3, absolute freak show. I'm actually surprised he was up that high, but still disappointed we didn't take him in the class. And were you surprised? Zachariah Branch at 49 being the most explosive baby player in college football?
No, because I think it goes for all around freaks, and I feel like his physique is holding him back from the freaks list. Yeah, he's a excellent sprinter, but for the most part, I don't think he's putting up any impressive numbers on the bench press, squatting, or anything like that in the weight room. So, I mean, while the freaks list is a list of football players, it's around relative athleticism. And I mean, while he's a sprinting freak, you look at the person who's number one on the list, Nicholas Harbor, who's a wide receiver that has Olympic track speed, and they didn't know whether he was going to play defensive end or wide receiver when he got to South Carolina. So,
yeah, fair point. And back to back number one, I'm pretty sure. I wanted to ask you this: Are you surprised of any Ohio State players that was left off this list? So we had Donovan
um,
Jackson, Sonny Styles, and Jeremiah Smith.
I mean, Jaden Ballard, maybe, but I mean, I feel like someone like that is going to get left off the list for the same reasons that Zachariah Branch gets left off. They said on the freaks list that Jeremiah Smith was the second fastest on the team. I would imagine only behind JB. So, I mean, maybe an argument there, but outside of that, no one comes to the top of my mind. Maybe Cody Simon, They had more pictures of Cody Simon, maybe he would have made the list.
The one that popped out to me was JTT, just off the top of my head. JTT was really brought in as a good athlete on both sides of the ball, known for his speed and size capability. So that's one for me where I was like, JTT, not if he didn't make the 1-on-1. Got dudes from Toledo on here. It's rough to make this list of JTT ain't on there. I don't know. He didn't jump out to you?
No, I mean, I feel like he's freakishly athletic kind of for his size, but it's not like breaking the testing meter as far as I don't think strength or speed on either side. I feel like he's one of those guys that does everything well, but
Okay.
nothing particularly great. And I feel like that would be the case in his athletic testing. I doubt he has any scores that jump off the page relative to his size or position.
Yeah. I guess we'll see in the combine, but that's just the one. So I wanted to ask that. But we did get to talk to the linebacker coach yesterday, James Laurinaitis. So before we even get there, the title of the video, are the Silver Bullets back? So this is for you in the chat. We've had a lot of talk about linebackers. We've had a lot of begging for guys to play in the last couple seasons. Do you feel like this is the year for them to take that next step into one of the very elite groups around the nation?
I don't know if it's going to be an elite group around the nation, but I think it can definitely be the best linebacker play that we've seen since 19. So, I mean, in 5 years, half a decade, I mean, I'll take it. I think the increased speed is going to be a huge lift for this defense. We've talked about the lack of foot speed at the linebacker position. I mean, so much so that even with Still Chambers, uh, was getting interceptions, Jim Knowles is looking at him saying, "Bro, I thought you played linebacker. Like the returns are so slow. He lost his wiggle." So I would imagine with a guy like Sonny Styles, who was on the freak list, a guy like C.J. Hicks, who was a former 5-star athletic freak, and Cody Simon, a guy that we've talked about multiple times on the show this year. So I think with the increase in athleticism, I mean, is it going to be the glory days of the early 2000s? No. But are we going to have significantly improved linebacker play this year? I would hope so.
Yeah, we will cross our fingers, or I'm gonna have to eat a lot of crow if it's not getting better. But so Jay Nice, talked to him, and I know this is your favorite part interview. So this is what he had to say. Basically, Cody Simon is the leader of the group. He mentioned that. CJ Hicks is the best blitzer, and when he's on the field, he makes things happen. So obviously, they talked to CJ, and he had something to say about that. He also mentioned Peyton Pierce, a guy we haven't talked about him much. He said he came in and he's not really behind at all. And one more note, Garrett Stover clocked in, and I know you talked about the quarterback, so I have something to say in a minute. But Garrett Stover apparently clocked in at 23.2 miles per hour at about 230 pounds. So, what jumps out to you from what James Laurinaitis had to say?
Did he not mention Gabe Powers? Did I miss that?
He not really. It was more
That's
of
what
Gabe.
jumps out to me.
I mean, it was.
I'm listening to names and I'm hearing freshmen, and I don't even hear about the top 100 linebacker.
Well, I
We
will
saw
say
Gabe
this.
Powers at camps in high school covering wide receivers at linebacker, and now he doesn't even get mentioned when we talk about linebackers. That's particularly what jumped out to me.
I will say this: Gabe Powers was mentioned around interviews, but it wasn't nothing notable. He's a good kid. He's doing the right thing, and basically the feel was because Cody Simon is apparently just gonna have his lion's share of snaps. Gabe Powers is the backup Mike, but will Cody Simon ever come off the field to to fill that position is the true question here.
So where does Arvell Reese fall in that lineup then if Gabe Powers is the backup Mike? Is
It would
third?
probably be 3 at this point. I believe from what and we don't get depth charts, so no one truly knows. But if I had to guess, I'd say it'd be Cody Simon 1, Gabe Powers 2, Arvell Reese 3, or 2B. I would say that's probably the particular lineup right now, but that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, man, it's excited to see that. I mean, there's definitely seems to be a change of philosophy in that room. The speed has increased significantly. I would imagine this is the fastest or linebacker room we've seen in the Ryan Day era. So definitely that change of hey, the game's evolving and we need more speed at linebacker more than just thumpers back there. It's not the Big Ten of the old where you just have 3 yards and a cloud of dust from every offense. You're seeing Big Ten offenses evolve, and I feel like the linebacker position at Ohio State is starting to do that as well.
Yeah, see, and also too, he didn't for Cody Simon too, and just talking about that position. I never really got anything that he was particularly like making plays or like just flashing all over the field. It was just like he's a guy who goes about his business. So it's not to say Gabe or Arvell Reese can't, because I mean, there's been a lot of hype about Arvell Reese moving to the mic that they can't crack that, but it was very vanilla, I would say, from the mic position. But moving on, I wanted to ask you this. So, with all the linebackers you really brought up, do you feel like we have about five that probably should be playing or getting some relevance of snaps? Do you feel like all five will be actually able to play this season and get in that rotation? And I'm not talking about right in when the game's close, but generally just in the depth of the game. Do you feel like they're actually going to play five?
No, I don't. I think it'll be a blessing if we're able to get CJ Hicks on the field in meaningful snaps. As they talked about using 3 linebackers sets, so if they're able to find ways to get CJ on the field, and if they're able to rotate him in, maybe if we see a little bit of Gabe Powers or Arvell Reese rotating in at the mic for Cody Simon. But I mean, we've heard this 3 years in a row. We're going to rotate linebackers. We're going to rotate linebackers so much so that in Jim Knowles' first press conference during spring last year, he said, I need to go out of my way to make sure that I'm getting reps for Gabe and CJ so Steele and Tommy aren't banged up at the end of the year. And then we show out to the Michigan game with, a hurt Tommy Eichenberg and a dead leg Steele Chambers. So, I mean, hopefully it seems to have been a point of emphasis now for 2 years. I mean, maybe it happens this year, but I mean, I'm going to have to wait to see it.
I don't know if you, it seems like Jim Knowles went out his way to make sure those guys didn't get reps. Like, yeah, I was yeah, I'm gonna go my way. All right. Oh yeah. So I'm with you. I had to see it to believe it, but we got some player notes. So Cody Simon, he said he's had to wait his turn. And true, he said about, I think he talked about Gabe Powers a little bit of like, yeah, I'm holding the spot now, but I had to wait behind guys too. But he did say they have freak shows at linebacker, which is a good note. Powers chimed in and said he will be ready when his number's called. So it sounds like he believes he's ready to play currently, but he's got to wait his turn. CJ Hicks was the big one. So he said there's better athletes now. No shot to the old guys. No shot to your boy Tommy. We know you got the jersey in the closet, but he said they have better athletes now. So he said they should be able to get more sacks than previous linebacker. He also added that he will lead the team in sacks. Are you buying that? CJ Hicks, sack leader, Ohio State 2024 season?
If a backup linebacker leads us in sacks, I'm going to be disappointed. I wish nothing but the best for CJ Hicks, and I'd love to see him lead the team in sacks, but I don't know. I feel like that would speak to a concern of what's happening with our edges. I would imagine we expect to see a more productive pass rushing version of Jack Sawyer. I believe he had 6 sacks in the last half of the season. So you would imagine he would look to build on that success that we saw last year. I know that CJ said, or James Laurinaitis said in his interview, that CJ has an uncanny ability to wreak havoc on the blitz in the past. So I would love to see it, but at the same time, it would be concerning if he plays the amount of snaps that we expect him to play and he's leading the team in sacks.
Well, I'll say this with Sonny and CJ. It very much sounded like it's going to be a 50-50-ish split. Now, one, I would say Sonny Styles splitting time with anybody is crazy for this team. He should be getting his Sonny Styles is gone after this year. Like, I don't care. All these other linebackers, Sonny Styles is out the door. Get the most out of him as possible. Everybody else can split reps with another position. Sonny Styles better be there on the field 24/7. But it sounds like they're going to be 50-50. So it does sound like CJ will get his crack at it. And from the interviews, it seemed like he knew like it's finally his time. He's like, well, I've waited this long. It's finally my time. There's no one really in the way. So I would say from what the pass rushes looked like recently, I can maybe buy a little bit. I mean, Tommy Eichenberg racked up how many sacks a couple years ago? he had, I mean, he had a good number of sacks and blitzes off the edge. So I could buy stock in it a little bit.
Do you think with the idea that Sonny Styles has gone after this year, you would have rather had him stay in high school one more year and get 2 years of linebacker out of him than what we've seen the past 2 years, especially in non-championship runs?
Yeah, I mean, one, we had the dude at 230 playing safety, which is just crazy. Safeties aren't that big in the NFL. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, they're not. I felt like Sonny Styles should have walked in as a linebacker when he got here. Like the fact that we've had him as a pseudo linebacker last year and basically just showed that he was probably better than what we had on the field already was crazy. But yeah, I would have loved to get another year of Sonny Styles because basically we had him playing less snaps than a guy who went undrafted. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that is crazy that we had a guy that's going to go undrafted, and now we're talking about a guy that's going to be gone after 3 years and he didn't get to play the position he's about to get drafted at. I mean, it makes you question what we were doing at linebacker last year.
I mean, and he's still splitting snaps, but we'll see that. But CJ also weighed in and he said him and Sonny Styles is not really a battle as long as he's making plays, or as long as both of them making plays, that's all that matters. So that was good things from him. I'll start showing Sonny Styles. Yeah, well, I already touched on that, but he said the safety position actually helped him a lot going into this year playing Will. I will ask you this: out of this group with Sonny Styles, CJ Hicks, Cody Simon, is any of them making all Big Ten this year? Do you have, because I asked you, do we have all American linebacker a couple, like probably like a week ago, and you're like, I don't know. But Big Ten's a little bit different. It's a little less expectation. Do you think any of these guys is all Big Ten worthy? Because when I look around, Penn State's got freak shows at linebacker that are all they're on the freaks list. They're balling out. Iowa's had good linebackers recently, and I feel like Ohio State has just been lacking behind. Is this finally a time where we catch the rest of the Big Ten at linebacker?
I mean, with the preseason hype we've heard around Sonny Styles, if he truly is the starter to start the season and it's not a massive rotation at linebacker, I don't see why he doesn't have the opportunity to be the. I mean, if he's a first round draft pick, I don't know how many, I mean, not a first round draft pick. If he's getting drafted this year, I don't know how many Big Ten linebackers anticipate to be drafted, especially at, 20 years old. So I would imagine he has a good chance at it this year, but I'd pencil it in. I wouldn't write it in pen.
Yeah, I think he's got the best chance at it. I would hope we at least get one. I don't know if Cody Simon will be it. I think CJ Hicks will probably get another year out of him. Crazy to say. And then, but Sonny Styles, I feel like he's the guy. I think I said a little bit ago. I feel like if there's one guy who can go toe to toe with Caleb Downs and just be a freak show on this defense and really pop, it's him. So that's where I would bet my money. But I also want to ask you this. So we talked about this 22 class of linebackers. We touched on Gabe Powers, touched on CJ Hicks, we touched on Sonny Styles. Really, is this the curtain call for the 2022 class? Like after this year, is this the time where you can say like either we got the most out of that group or this was we bombed it and that was complete failure? Because this was a class that was supposedly the savior of the linebacker room. We had 2 5 stars come in. We told Deshaun McCullum, you good, go somewhere else, and he's really been maybe debatable the most impact player in college football out of this group. I mean, maybe you could probably throw Sonny Styles a little bit above him, but as far as the linebackers go, he's been most impact one. So is this year the curtain class for the 2022 group?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't limit it to just linebackers. Take a look at this class and tell me we signed 21 commits and we're the fourth overall class. You let me know who's contributing from this class. CJ Hicks,
Not yet. I mean,
Sonny Styles, we've talked about him the entire episode. Tegra Shabola, still not on the field. Devin Brown, likely backup. Keon Grace, Cal. Caleb Burton, Auburn. Amari Abor, SMU. Caleb Brown, Iowa. Kenyatta Jackson, backup. Gabe Powers, backup. Kojo Antwi, backup. Hero Canoe, backup. Caden Curry, backup. George Fitzpatrick, backup. Carson Hinsman, starting. Dallin Hayden, Colorado. Bennett Christian, backup. Jair Brown, LSU. Kai Stokes, Cincinnati, I believe. Ryan Turner, not at Ohio State anymore. Avery Henry, medically retired.
well, damn. I didn't know you're gonna go there, but good lord, yeah, that
One contributing player from an entire class.
That's oh man, that is rough. And one dude you turned away might have been the best player in the class. Like if we touch back to Simon McCullum, you said, "Nah, we're good." You want to go
I
play
don't
with your
think we
grandkids?
necessarily turned him away once his dad got the job at Indiana. That was pretty much done.
Well, word is, and this came from Burp directly, is Simon McCullum tried to come back in the class, and he tried to reach out after his year at Indiana and transfer back to Ohio State. His dad at 11, he was like, "Hey guys, like, I'm trying to get out of here," and they said, "Nah, we're good." While Jim Knowles for years has talked about, well, I don't have a jack position player. While I just saw Simon McCullum go play against Texas and wreak absolute havoc for 60 minutes. So I don't know. I just deal. I didn't know this class was honestly that bad.
I've had this conversation with Chris Drew and Cam in the off season. It's honestly like that when you talk about these recruiting misses in 23 and 24, and everybody's like, "Oh, why are you overreacting? Why are you overreacting? It's just one miss." I'm like, we have an entire class that we are going to have to supplement because even again, you look back, okay, cool, none of them play as juniors other than Sonny, who wasn't even supposed to be in that class and reclassified a year early. Sonny should have been in the 23 class. So you
Yeah.
take Sonny Styles out of that class. You have 20 kids, not a single starter in year 3. And I mean, if we're going to project out, okay, give them the benefit of the doubt. Some of these guys aren't going to play immediately. They may eventually be starters. Tegra, one, Kenyatta, Gabe, and Hero. Caden Curry.
Yeah.
So you have two defensive linemen, a D tackle, and an offensive lineman. I mean, if they end up balling out as seniors, maybe they can right the ship for this class. But right now, things are looking bleak for the 2022 class and their stamp that they're leaving on Ohio State.
I mean, yeah, they're not underclassmen anymore. And really, outside of the D linemen, we haven't really seen many of them. And I felt when we evaluate these classes, when I go in and I'm like, I don't know if this guy's going to play here. And it Ohio State has done a thing for a while, and it is bothering me where we get the most we get the most out of the least, and we get the least out of the most. It seems like the guys that generally end up contributing are guys like you don't see coming, and they pop in and you be like, okay, and they're around for years. But it seems like the guys at the top of the class are like, well, damn, that's a miss. We're not playing that guy. And one thing they talked about was CJ Hicks and his confidence. And it's something I wanted to touch on where he said at this point, he's just regaining confidence as a player. He hasn't been confident the last 2 years. He hasn't played a lot. And this year he's finally like, well, everybody's out my way. But I think this just runs back to that Ryan Day line of playing freshmen early. It doesn't happen. These guys are riding on the bench for so many years, they lose confidence. And it's like, then they go to Cal.
My question for you is, are we being too harsh on the 22 class given that Ohio State's 2021 class was touted as one of their best classes ever, and the majority of those guys stayed? You're looking at the top guys from the 2021 class. JTT, number 2 player in the class, back at Ohio State for his senior year. Jack Sawyer, number 6 in that class, back for his senior year. Donovan Jackson, number 7 in that class, back for his senior year. Emeka Buka, number 9 in that class, back for his senior year. Travion Henderson, number 11 in that class, back for his senior year. Jordan Hancock, 47 in that class, back for his senior year. Kyle McCord at Syracuse, Quinn Ewers at Texas. All of these guys are still in school. Jaden Ballard, number 55 in the class, still in school. So the list goes on. Tyleik Williams, number 124 in the class, still at Ohio State. I mean, Denzel Burke, 221 in that class, still at Ohio State. These guys in the 22 class haven't had the success on the field that we've seen from the 21 class, but something could be said for the fact that a lot of the 21 guys have been starters and playing early since they got here and have kind of been holding down those roles and keeping those guys off the field. And even if they do rotate, they don't really have the opportunity to start with the talent that's ahead of them. So could they redeem themselves in a year when it's finally their show? Maybe, but we haven't really seen them get that opportunity up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but that also you look at that 21 class and bringing all those guys back with what do you have like 9 or 11 top 100 players in that class? That was a disappointment. Like if you want to if you want to truly talk about development and where these guys should be, there should
Is
be
it a
no.
disappointment if they win the Natty this year?
I mean, as far as development,
Are we an NFL farm team, or are we a college football team trying to win national championships?
I mean, we've been an NFL farm team because we've sent more guys to the draft than we're winning championships. I mean,
So if in the inverse we send less guys to the draft because they stay a fourth year and we win a national championship, wouldn't we be accomplishing the goal we're actually setting out to do?
I would take that trade and be like, yeah, of course, I'll take a net. Like, I'm not an Ohio State NFL fan of just cheering for guys when they dip out and leave, but I'm also at the point of like, if you want to keep bringing these guys in and selling this develop here, at some points, develop here has to be present. Like I said, you can't keep like Still Chambers, good player at Ohio State, but was he ever gonna be a pro? Probably not. He switched positions halfway through his
He came
career.
here as a running back, and he's a linebacker on the New England Patriots. I mean, you could make an argument you did develop here, because I promise you one thing that Still Chambers would not be: an NFL running back.
No, I think we knew that when Still Chambers came here, but that's the point. You put what
But
4 or
then
5
how are we
years.
saying that we don't develop here if he comes here as a running back and leaves as an NFL linebacker? He's still on the Patriots roster right
I
now.
mean, yeah, but
And no
we're
one,
just jumping into training camp. If he makes the roster, well, dude didn't even get drafted. I would say if you're having a 2-3 year starter, they should at least get a 2-3 year starter should at least get drafted. But at Ohio State,
a 2-3 year starter that was a converted from running back.
it doesn't matter if you told him we think you're a better linebacker and he starts for that long. It's not like he started for 1 year. Like me and Chris Drew have talked about these stopgap players of like, yeah, if he played linebacker for 1 year, did decently, went undrafted, and tried to make an NFL team, that makes sense. You're telling me you had 3 classes of guys who couldn't start at linebacker over a converted linebacker. That's a bit of an issue.
Yeah,
That,
it's called. You know what that issue is? It's Notre Dame's issue now, and that's why Al Washington's not here and James Laurinaitis is on the staff, because Jim Knowles can't recruit either.
I mean
But that sounds more like recruiting misses than development issues. Did Still Chambers get better?
Not last year. He didn't. He did not. He was
Okay.
not
Did Tommy
arguably worse.
Eichenberg get better?
I think both of them were worse last season than they were
That's
the year
bullshit.
before.
Tommy Eichenberg, his first year on the field, played 60 straight snaps over the course of 2 games with 0 tackles.
No. I'm talking about his second year. From his first year to his second year, yes, he got a lot better.
That's an arbitrary measure, because it's not looking at the totality of his time at Ohio State. Generally, when you look at the time from Tommy Eichenberg, again, a guy that wasn't projected to be an NFL player, went from 3-star Ohio kid to fill out the class to 5th round draft pick. While they may not necessarily have been the best or what we desired, they still developed and outperformed what the recruiting ranking was.
I'm not saying he didn't develop at all. Yes, Tommy got significantly better from the time he was recruited to linebacker. Now, once he started playing well and we saw his flaws in the 2022 season, moving to the 2023 season, no, he did not get better. I'm almost argue he got worse. I saw 2 of returning starters. I saw 2 of the worst linebacker games I have seen at Indiana and Notre Dame. They were terrible. And then in Michigan, again, they got exposed, and their weaknesses from before were not worked on, and it showed itself again. I mean, we've talked about it. The last 2 seasons, we've lost the same way because teams looked at it and said, the linebackers can't cover, they can't adjust, and we're just going to go after them. And Michigan did it with 150 yards of tight end yards, and Georgia did it. And that's how we really lost both of those games.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a fair point. I just feel like the lack of push from those 2 was more attributed to recruiting misses than lack of development, because I mean, neither one of those guys no one expected them to play at Ohio State. No one expected them to be NFL players. One of them's a 2-year starter. One of them's a 3-year starter. Both of them are in the NFL. So, I mean,
I would agree. For those 2, their development was good to get them for a chance to make an NFL roster. if you look at the totality of the room and you're saying recorded, we got to go out and get these big 5-star players. We got to go out and get these athletes. And you have so many that walk out the door barely playing. Like, at some point, if you want these big time linebackers, you want them to come here, you got to get the most out of the most of your talent. You say Tommy and Steele were probably more of the least talented guys in the linebacker room, and you got them to be able to play. But why can't you do that with a CJ Hicks? Why can't you do that with a Gabe Powers? Like, if you're able to develop those guys, imagine if you got that level of development out of the more talented guys, where they would be. Then they could run with the Abdul Carters and the good linebackers all around the nation. Because we're sitting here saying we don't know if these guys are going to be all Big Ten at Ohio State. Like, let alone the country.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. I mean, I'm just looking back at recruiting classes of the past, and I'm just trying to find these 5-star linebackers that came here and weren't developed or recruited, and I'm just having trouble locating them. Cody Simon from the 2020 class is our starting Mike linebacker right now, and Court Williams just medically retired. So I'm just not sure who these guys are outside of CJ Hicks.
I mean, you had the 2018 class that was vaunted with linebackers, and then your next vaunted one was the 2022 class with CJ Hicks. So those were the ones, and both of those have been utter misses. I mean, none of those guys played it from the 2018 class, and we're sitting here with the 2022 class going into year 3, and yet again, really none of those guys really played other than Sonny Styles, who's played safety. So, I mean, that was your gym classes. You would say the 2018 class, oh, those guys are going to come here, and that's going to be the next great linebackers. Just moving forward, the 2022 class, those guys are going to come here, and those are going to be the next great linebackers, and neither have hit. So,
Dallas Gant at number 59, and we had Javonte.
Was the top 100 player, or it's Raja Mitchell. Sorry.
Was Florida able to get him right when he went down there?
You said what?
I said, was Florida able to develop him when he got down there?
I mean, no, but that's also 4 years into his career. You're only giving him 1 year in Florida. I mean, they're like, damn, give us more than 3 months.
Are we going to get 1 year? Do you think 1 year CJ Hicks is going to look better than 1 year Taraja Mitchell at Florida?
I think it will. I would hope that when we bring these guys in here, I hope we get 2 years out of them. But CJ Hicks probably will be back next year because it seems like he's may play 50% of the snaps, so we might get 2 good years out of him. And their books are not yet written. James Laurinaitis is starting out with this group.
But when you get what you want, you're gonna have guys sit. Only certain amount of people can play. You're watching the fallout of having guys stay for 4 years and develop. I mean, we just watched how many defenders come back on that defense. Did they not develop? Did they not have high draft grades? I mean, if JT and Jack go to the draft, Caden and Kenyatta are starting.
Yeah, well, really, those guys, remember,
if Denzel goes to the draft, Jermaine's starting. If Lathan Ransom goes to the draft, Malik Hartford's on the field. I mean, a lot of guys would have got their opportunity this year. Tyleik Williams goes to the draft. We see more Hero Kanu. A lot of these guys' opportunities are being suppressed by guys that are staying a 4th year. So it's, again, a balance of, do you want these guys going to the NFL and we can have another cool graphic come out with all our NFL draft picks from the social team? Or maybe we could beat Michigan and have Michigan fans stop replying to our social team, post the score.
I mean, I would say, too, a lot of those guys waited to play. Tyleik's first year starting was last season, behind 2 undrafted guys. Mike Hall's first season starting was last season, behind 2 undrafted guys who played for like 3 years. Jack Sawyer's first year was starting last season. Now he was behind a good player in Zach Harrison.
But really now all the guys not playing are sitting behind guys that are going to get drafted. So should we take the guys that are about to get drafted off the field for guys that haven't played yet?
No, but if we're talking linebacker, I don't know if Cody Simon's getting drafted.
I do.
Do you think he's a pro?
Yes. How is he an upgrade from Tommy Eichenberg, a 5th round pick, and now he's not a pro?
I never said he was an upgrade from Tommy Eichenberg. Cody Simon battled with Steel Chambers last year, and Steel Chambers beat him out. And everybody gives like Cody Simon got hurt. Let's not have revisionist history. Steel Chambers and Tommy Eichenberg were hurt all last offseason.
Steel Chambers beat out CJ Hicks.
I mean, he's been starting since
So
before
CJ
Cheaters
Hicks
got
not
here.
good because Still Chambers beat him out?
Possibly, it's a possibility,
Okay,
but I think so. I think CJ Hicks has a
okay.
far higher ceiling, and if you would give him the same amount of time to go out and make mistakes, he would probably be better by now. I would bet because he's a way higher ceiling. Like
Okay.
I don't know how good Cody Simon is. He had a job, he got it taken by a guy who was undrafted, and now he's back again and is irreplaceable in the middle position by in front of a top 100 player and another young dude who's very talented. I have to see it. I can't say he's a pro because there's nothing from Cody Simon I've seen to make me think he's a pro or that he will get drafted.
All right. Well, we'll make sure we make note of this episode to revisit. Just
I,
like
I would be happy to be
Jordan
wrong.
Hancock was getting drafted last year.
Jordan Hancock probably would have got
What round did
drafted.
he go in?
Jordan Hancock would have got
Okay.
drafted if he left. He screwed me over by not leaving.
Oh yeah, he screwed you over.
He screwed me over.
How dare he?
money.
Not thinking about his future instead of his takes on the Buckeye Roast.
He screwed me up. But let's get to your boy Jim Harbaugh. Oh man, your boy Jimmy. We talked about it earlier in the week. 4-year show clause suspension for just the recruiting violation. Just a couple of burgers, man. Got the 4-year ban. Give me your take on Jim Harbaugh.
I mean, I feel like it just shows you that the NCAA is useless, man. Like they're gonna dish out these punishments, these suspensions to Jim Harbaugh. He's never coming back to college football. He's been trying to run away from the college game for years now. He knew this was coming, so it's kind of pointless, and it makes you look back at these guys call themselves Michigan men and men of honor, and those who cheat never win. This and that. I mean, this moral Michigan man, is he going to take the same stance that Jim Tressel did when he told the coach to honor his NCAA suspension?
Hell
You think Jim Harbaugh is going to sit down with the brass at the San Diego Chargers and say, "Hey, I'm a Michigan man of integrity, and I lied, I cheated, and I stole, so suspend me for the year like the NCAA did"? No, he's not. Because they're a bunch of fucking hypocrites, bro. So keep that Michigan man shit out of my fucking face, bro. Burn those khakis. I'm sick of that shit, bro. Lean into it. Lean into the pieces of shit that you guys are. Fucking embrace your dog whistles about MSU. All that goofy shit that y'all fucking do when you guys want to play morally superior, and then now you want to fucking be the bad guy and the villain. Embrace it. Just miss me with the rest of that hypocritical shit. Like, you guys are cheaters just like fucking everyone else. You're not morally superior than anyone, and fucking embrace it. I would have way more respect than that than fucking, oh, we're Michigan men. We'll look at our academic standards, this and that, never lie, cheat still. We wear khakis from Walmart. And then it's like, oh, so what? You're going to have to come take our cheated natty from us.
I mean, you said it best. He ain't about to honor that, bro. He hit the Pete Carroll. He was like, "Oh shit, it's coming. I'm up out of here. Good luck with that, and I'll catch y'all on the next one." I mean, it's just the audacity to go in front of from the Chargers media and give a speech of, "I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't steal. You stole signs, you cheated in games, and you're lying right now." Like, let's be the fucking
And
real.
honestly, I'd have so much more respect if they didn't do this, like, every man morality stance all the goddamn time. Like, I respect cheaters in sports. I mean, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
You ain't trying.
But like the thing that gets me with Michigan is the fucking embrace it and take your licks. Like, that's part, do the crime, pay the time type shit. Like, I'm just so confused by this, like, woe is me victim, and it's like this fucking stick in the wheel spoke type of mentality of like, oh my god, we're so persecuted. Like, no, if you want to jump into the big boys game and point the finger at everyone else and say, well, look at Georgia, Alabama used to buy cars, Ohio State tattoos, take your licks like everyone else. I'm just tired of it. Either be the villain or don't. You can't be the villain and the hero.
Shit, you think if I sat here and OSU cheated and got a natty out of it, I'd be like, hell, I'll take it. It is what it is. Drop the book. But apparently that doesn't go for everybody. But I say, hey, you got a natty, you won the bet. Like, you get to celebrate. You got the ring. You're talking rights for however long. You beat Ohio State 3 straight times. Like, take it, run with it, say, hey, we cheated, or catch us when you can, and I'd roll with it. But I don't get this morality thing. I don't get not owning it, and it's a ridiculous look because it's almost goofy at this point. It's just like, all right, bro, if you say so.
Absolutely. I mean, our guy Sage Ohio says it right. The NFL punished Pryor for a college violation for 8 games, so why not punish Harbaugh?
That was actually my next question. Do you think the NFL will give him punishment?
Fuck no. No. For what?
I don't know. I was just asking, they gonna honor it or they're not. And I doubt they will, but I figured I'd ask the question for you in the chat.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're going to honor Jim Harbaugh is going to go on about his day, and it seems like Michigan's not getting any sort of meaningful punishment. I mean, I see the guys at College Football Nerds think that this indicates they're just layering these punishments so they can hammer Michigan based on repeat violations, and I don't know. That would be too. It just feels too good to be true. You know what I mean? We just watched Michigan beat our ass for 3 years in a row. They cap it off with a natty. There's no way that like by some miracle that the NCAA is going to come in and erase these 3 years of horror. Like it happened. It's sticking. It is what it is. But I mean, don't fucking piss on me and tell me it's raining and pretend like you didn't cheat. Fucking stand 10 toes and talk your shit, but don't be a pussy about it and act like you didn't cheat. It's what it is.
They're gonna come out. We're vacating 4 games. The 3 Ohio State wins
In the natty.
That's all I gotta do. We'll be happy with that.
I'd take it.
Oh man, but that's all I have. Ron, you got anything?
Nothing here.
All right, man. Well, it's good to be back, yo. I missed y'all's hours out for a couple of days. I couldn't even after Monday's show. I couldn't even get out of bed for 2 days. So I appreciate Ron holding it down. I appreciate Pat holding it down. It's good to be back and see the familiar faces. It's a good show. Everybody, do not forget we're trying to get our podcast numbers up. Leave a 5-star. I don't know why my camera did that. We leave a 5-star review on podcast, Spotify over there. Ron has been working hard. He had to update it. Y'all know what kind of work he put in to get the audio updated. So go ahead, get over there, ask some questions, like the video. If you are on Twitter, hit that retweet, hit that like button. We'll be back tomorrow to talk some running backs and some other Ohio State stuff. Now, Ryan Day has a presser today, so we'll get some news out of that and from practice. That's all I got. Ryan, got anything before we get out of here?
No, sitting on the edge of my seat, waiting to hear what Lion Day has to say. I'm sure he'll be completely truthful in this press conference. I'm sure we'll have tons to glean from it tomorrow. I appreciate everyone tuning into the Buckeye Roast this morning. If you want to find me, you could catch me on Twitter at 2Ts. It's 2_TEES. Been here every day, weekdays at 8 a.m. for the Buckeye Roast. Q, let the people know where they can find you and get us out of here.
Yeah, man, I'm City Boy Quentin on Twitter. Not hard to find. Find the Josh on Instagram and TikTok. And Minor League Films, you're in the movies. Find that here on YouTube. That's all I got. Have a good morning and OH.
I-O.
Come on,